All right, let's dive right into this explainer. You know how it is. Most of us wake up, grab our phones, and literally immediately start scrolling, right? We just bombard ourselves with information, anxieties, and the sheer relentless noise of the digital world. So, contrast that for a second with an ancient, dusty chariot battlefield. Like, could a 2,000-year-old text, one originally set on that exact battlefield, possibly hold the key to surviving our modern anxieties? I mean, we're talking about artificial intelligence, deepfakes, and algorithmic control. It sounds crazy, right? No way. But what if the Bhagavad Gita isn't just about ancient warfare? What if it's actually the absolute clearest, most profound guide we have for navigating the sheer speed and moral confusion of our digital age? Welcome to this explainer on a genuinely fascinating thought experiment, the inner battlefield, the Bhagavad Gita in 2026. Today, we're going to explore this incredibly brilliant, imaginary conversation where history's greatest minds actually get together to decode our modern tech crisis using ancient wisdom. Because as you'll see, the hesitation felt by the Gita's ancient warrior, Arjuna, is literally the exact same hesitation you and I feel today when we look at the future. To really grasp the stakes here, we need to introduce the heavy hitters in this council of minds. Just think about the sheer weight of experience sitting in this imaginary room. You've got Mahatma Gandhi, you have J. Robert Oppenheimer carrying the incredibly heavy guilt of the atomic age. There's Carl Jung bringing his deep dives into the human psyche, alongside Aldous Huxley, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, and Hermann Hesse. We're talking scientists, psychologists, and philosophers, all sitting around a table, clashing worldviews to figure out humanity's very survival. Which brings us to the outer battlefield, Crisis 1, surviving our own intelligence. I mean, can humanity actually survive its own brain power when our tech progress radically outpaces our wisdom? This brings us to a quote by J. Robert Oppenheimer. Knowledge accumulates faster than wisdom. What's really interesting here is Oppenheimer's deeply guilt-ridden realization at this imaginary table. In the real world, he and his team literally built the most destructive weapon in human history in just a few short years. He knows firsthand how terrifyingly fast we can invent a world-altering machine. But he also realizes that building the moral culture to actually handle that unprecedented power, well, that might take centuries. Today, we're basically treating speed itself as a virtue. We race to build more powerful AI models in mere months because we're terrified of falling behind. But absolutely no one is stopping to ask where this runaway locomotive is actually headed. And this brilliantly illustrates a core debate at the table. Oppenheimer is naturally worried about that classic Hollywood nightmare, like what if the machine itself wakes up and becomes conscious? But then Carl Jung steps in with a much more insidious psychological danger, human projection. Jung argues the real, immediate threat isn't machine consciousness at all. Think about how easily we say please and thank you to ChatGPT, right? We are psychologically wired to project a soul, friendship, and authority onto a totally lifeless algorithm just because it mimics human language convincingly. We might completely surrender to AI way before it's conscious, simply because it sounds like us. And how exactly does that surrender happen? Aldous Huxley points out something truly profound with this thought. Efficiency is one of the finest disguises ideology has ever worn. We are willingly trading our freedom to these algorithms, but not because we're being forced to at gunpoint. No, we do it just because they make our lives slightly more convenient. We aren't surrendering to robot overlords with lasers. We're surrendering to the app that promises to save us 5 minutes on our commute. We let algorithms autofill our emails, curate our music, and filter our news. Huxley is warning us that future control won't be violent. It'll just be incredibly useful. The surrender will feel perfectly pleasant. So let's just pause and ask ourselves directly. Are you trading your freedom for convenience? Every single time we let a machine write our emails, choose our media, or tell us what to think, what tiny piece of our own humanity are we quietly giving away? If we never have to wait, if we never struggle to find the right words, if we never experience friction, we might never actually listen to our own conscience. It is absolute dependence, just brilliantly disguised as convenience. So that takes us deeper into the inner battlefield. Crisis 2, the age of spiritual hunger. Why is it that a society with endless information and literally total connectivity is somehow starving spiritually? This modern paradox sparks a fascinating philosophical friction between two of our thinkers. Hermann Hesse approaches this almost like a secluded monk, believing spiritual hunger is cured by inward seeking, finding your true self by stepping completely away from the noise and expectations of the crowd. But Mahatma Gandhi, the ultimate community organizer, insists the self is only truly found and tested through outward action and service to others. It's the classic human debate, right? Is the ultimate answer hidden deep inside us or out there in the messiness of the world? Hesse brings this debate right into the modern day with a devastating point. The tragedy of modern life is not that people have no path. It is that they are walking paths chosen by strangers. He argues our spiritual burnout happens because we're desperately performing for an audience of algorithms. I mean, think about it. We curate our lives for likes, we stress out over our read receipts, we constantly manage a personal brand. We are literally walking paths chosen by strangers. We chase metrics, trying to please an invisible, digital crowd instead of living our authentic, messy lives. That deep spiritual hunger we feel today, it's just the pain of living at a distance from our own actual life. As we search for meaning online, we crash right into our next massive challenge, Crisis 3, Truth and Illusion. Is humanity literally losing the ability to tell what is real? Here is Huxley again with a chilling insight. Tyranny no longer requires a boot on the neck when it can place a personalized recommendation in the hand. This perfectly captures our dilemma. Future control won't feel like oppression. It'll feel perfectly tailored to our personal preferences. It shows up in the comforting, friendly language of an AI companion. You see, an echo chamber doesn't feel like propaganda to the person inside it. It feels like validation. And when you realize that today, AI can generate a hyper-realistic, completely fake video of a major world event in a matter of seconds, the danger is staggering. We might surrender our own judgment simply because the machine is so overwhelmingly responsive to our personal biases. To survive this total collapse of truth, Carl Jung offers a brilliant psychological tool for checking our own inner illusions. How do you know if an algorithm is manipulating you? Jung says, start with your own emotional intensity. When you feel a massive surge of outrage, just stop. Next, examine the hidden human need beneath that belief. And finally, ask yourself the absolute toughest question. What would I lose if this belief were false? If the mere thought of a political belief being wrong threatens your actual identity, you are likely caught in an illusion designed specifically to keep you clicking. Then, Gandhi takes this a step further into the moral realm with his own test. He provides the ultimate litmus test for any ideology or outrage we consume in our feeds. First, does this belief make me more truthful? Second, does it make me responsible for my own conduct? And crucially, ask, does this belief make it easier to dehumanize another? Think about how incredibly easy it is to leave a toxic, hateful comment to a faceless profile picture compared to saying those exact words to a real human sitting right across from you. If an algorithm is teaching you to treat people as symbols to be hated, it is an illusion, no matter how much evidence it claims to provide. Which brings us to the very center of the Gita's teaching, the final challenge, finding peace in chaos. How do you actually find inner peace in a world that never, ever stops? The Gita teaches a concept called non-attachment. Now, as Gandhi clarifies in this imaginary conversation, non-attachment is not emotional coldness. Not at all. It is loving deeply without demanding possession of the outcome. It's giving your absolute full effort to the right action without claiming control over what happens next. Think about how incredibly hard that is in our modern society. We live in a world that measures literally every single outcome with precise analytics, follower counts, and profit margins. We are totally obsessed with the result. There is a massive misconception about this ancient text we need to clear up. People often confuse non-attachment with indifference, but indifference means you just do not love or care. Indifference is ignoring the news entirely because it's too sad, or withdrawing from the world altogether. Non-attachment is totally different. Non-attachment means you dive headfirst into the fight. You fight passionately for a cause you believe in, you give it your absolute all, but you let go of the ego's demand to control the results. You refuse to let a temporary defeat destroy your inner peace, and you refuse to let your soul become dependent on victory. Ultimately, these brilliant minds arrive at one unshakable conclusion, perfectly summed up by Mahatma Gandhi. Mastery of the world without mastery of the self is another name for defeat. AI, rapid technology, absolute convenience, flawless algorithms, none of it means a single thing if we lose our own souls in the process of building them. If we forget how to be fundamentally human before we ask the machines to be wise, we have already lost the battle. So, I want to leave you with this final profound question. Who are you becoming while you struggle? The algorithms will map the world, but they cannot map your soul. The tech won't stop advancing. The AI will inevitably get smarter and more integrated into our daily lives. But this central question isn't really about what the machine can do. The real question is who you are becoming in the process. Your character, your conscience, and your peace are and always will be entirely up to you. This has been an amazing journey through some truly huge ideas. If you want to read these full, brilliant imaginary talks and dive way deeper into this philosophical explanation, please visit imaginarytalks.com/bhagavad-gita-guide-humanity-2026. Trust me, it is completely worth your time to explore how these great minds tackle our modern world. Thanks so much for joining me today, and remember to always protect your inner battlefield.